Welcome to the audio conferencing
Here we
center.
go. Here we go. It's okay, honey. Don't.
Good morning. Welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Civic Licensing Committee. I would remind all attendees that this meeting is being recorded and webcast live on the Council's YouTube channel. I would also remind all remote attendees to mute their microphones when not speaking, and unless they want to speak, and they should do so by raising their hands remotely. Can I also remind remote members attending hybrid meetings where quasi-judicial matters are being considered that they will not be permitted to attend by audio only and must have their video and camera functions switched on at all times. So welcome to this meeting. Item 1 is apologies for absence. Elaine.
Thank you, Vice Convener. We have apologies for Councillor Meehan, Councillor Durno and Councillor Whiteside.
Thank you for that. Declarations of interest and statements of transparency. Do we have any? No, thank you very much. Item 3 is minutes of previous meetings. Can we submit these as a true record? Thank you very much. Item number 4 is exclusion of the public and press. The committee are asked to note that the public and press will be excluded from the meeting during consideration of item 10. Can we agree that? Agreed. Okay, thank you very much. Turning now to item 5, which is delegated approvals. The committee are asked to note these. Are we happy to do so? Thank you very much. I'd like to ask the permission of the committee to restructure the agenda slightly to move item 6 to behind item 9, and that is to allow Mr. Stephen Forsyth to attend. Are the committee happy to do so? Thank you very much. We'll turn now then to item 7, which is new short-term lets application, North Lodge and Gardens Cottage, Dukers Forfar, and Mr. Farquharson is here to address us. Mr. Farquharson, would you like to come to the microphone, please? Thank you very much. I would invite you now to address the committee on your application, and please switch on your microphone.
So we have 2 houses on the farm and we're applying for a holiday licence.
Yes, have you got anything that you wish to tell us about the application, or
There's
anything substantive?
In terms of the objection?
Whatever you wish to say to the committee, you're more than welcome to do so.
So there has been an objection raised by environmental health due to the private water supply, and we've been addressing that. We've replaced various lead pipework within the system, and we've contacted them again to come and do a retest there about a fortnight ago, but they're wanting proof of invoices and proof of the lead pipe that's came out. I've had to put across before we'll come back to retest.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Anything further you wish to say before I turn to... No? Okay, thank you very much. I'll turn now to environmental health, who, as has been intimated, have put an objection in. Is that Louise?
Good morning.
Would you like to address the committee, please?
Yes, thank you. It relates to the private water supply that serves both properties on the licence and the presence of lead within the supply. Now, the limit for lead at an acceptable level is 10 micrograms, and Gardener's Cottage was sampled earlier this year and returned a result of over 270, which would suggest a significant amount of lead within the supply. North Lodge has previously been sampled in 2021 when it passed with 2.6, and then again in 2023 when it failed at 11.7, but was further retested in May of that year and returned a sample of 8.3. So for North Lodge, it would suggest there is a small amount of lead in the supply, but Gardener's Cottage, there seems to be a significant amount of lead. Yes, we would like to retest this supply, but it is important that we see evidence of what remedial works have been undertaken so we can have confidence in the supply result that is returned. And due to the conditions both for short-term let licence and the private water supply regulations, this lead level needs to be returned under 10 micrograms per litre due to the potential detrimental impact on health that lead in drinking water can cause. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Louise. Do members have any questions of that? Councillor Gregg.
Thank you, Vice Convener. With regards to the exceptionally high level of lead, would that perhaps be because if a property is sat empty and unused for a length of time, that the water's just sat in the pipes, that there will be a higher accumulation of lead, whereas if the taps are turned on more regularly and there's a constant flow through the pipes, then that would in fact reduce the lead?
That is correct, and that is what my understanding is likely for the North Lodge results, varying between 2.6 and 11.7, is that stagnation and not being flushed through. Good practice for lead is you would have a flushed sample from that. But the over 270 would suggest a significant amount of infrastructure that contains lead materials in the supply.
Thank you for that. Do you have anything further to add?
It's a secondary question. You'd mentioned, sort of the applicant, that an extensive amount of work has been done and that you have the invoices and things for that. Is that work all complete?
We've done a bit to the house, and there's a farmstead, and we've replaced about 15 metres, but there's one other place we need to get to see if there's lead within the system. North Lodge was also tested earlier last year and found to have lead within the pipework, and we replaced there was about 12 metres of lead pipe between the house and the main supply, the main private supply, so that was retested and found to be lower. So we're really just wanting them to come back and retest.
Any other members have questions? Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Vice Convener. And Mr Parkinson, I'm just picking up that, just listening to our officer there in environmental health and yourself, and trying to be as just as I can be. I'm detecting a wee impasse when it comes to producing the actual visual information, the invoices. Is that a problem for you? Because that just seems to me something that we could get over.
No, it's no problem at all. We'll have, due to the nature of the system and the amount of water trucks we have feeding livestock, we carry a stock of the water pipe and various fittings, and we've been doing that ourselves to replace it, and now they want invoices, so we've had to go and buy other fittings to replace what was in our stock. So it's not a problem, but we're just working around it.
Thank you.
Any other members have questions that they wish to ask? No? Councillor Braze.
Yes, just for clarity, can environmental health go and retest now? Or do they have to wait until they get documentary evidence that alterations have taken place and then go and test? Is that where we are?
Louise?
Yeah, we have requested some evidence of works that have been carried out due to the significantly high levels, and that doesn't necessarily have to be invoices. You don't need a specific contractor to do these works. It's an explanation of what has been done and the detail around that, so that we can have then commission a retest.
So then as soon as you get documentary evidence, then you can go and retest?
Yes, absolutely. This high level was tested in January,
Yeah.
and we've been asking for this work to be done for a considerable length of time. It's unfortunate it's taken until now for it to be pushed forward.
Okay, thank you. I have a question for officers too.
On you go, Councillor Braze.
For Stuart, maybe. Can we delegate this decision to officers that we will grant this once the levels meet the standards, once the levels of lead are tested and meet the standards?
I'm going to suggest no at this point, because it is standard conditions that are in the policy that it has to meet that. Now, generally, it would be that if the information came in, it would be then granted under delegated powers. I suggest now that it has come to committee, and if you're considering that, I couldn't put in an additional condition that's already a condition, if you know what I mean. It's already there. It's already a requirement that needs to be complied with. It's not as though we're adding something extra to that. I think it would just need to be a case of, if I'm understanding you correctly, it would be a case of continuing this until such time as we're able to be satisfied, or ECP are able to be satisfied, that the water supply is at standard requirements.
So it would have to be committed considered at future licensing committee meeting. Is that what we're saying?
Okay, so actually it would be a deferral until such time as adequate information has been received and thereafter delegated to officers, if that's the case. Is that what you're considering?
Well, that's what I'd like to do.
Okay, yes. I guess you could do that. That grant it subject to a successful retest to the satisfaction of ECP, and if that is received, or when that's received, delegated to officers. I think we would need to put a time frame on that, though, however, because we don't want to fall into this category of a deemed grant. Whereas if it's not, it then is automatically granted. So I think for me, I would prefer it to be coming back to a further committee. It puts an accurate time frame on that. And I think the next one's November, which isn't too far away, but probably sufficient time to allow ECP enough time to go out and do a test and get the results.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Do any members have any further questions they wish to ask? No? Okay, I will then turn to the applicant to sum up, please. Do you have anything further that you wish to say on this?
No, not at the minute.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll move now to motions, and I'm actually going to move one myself. We've got the recommendations in front of us. I would like to move that we defer this application to the next Civic Licensing Committee to give sufficient time for the relevant documentary evidence to come in and a retest by Environmental Health. I can see that Councillor Kenny Braes has his hand up, so I'll invite him in now.
Yes, I'd like to second you on that.
Thank you very much. Are there any amendments to that? No. Can I take it then that that is unanimous? Thank you very much. Your application has been deferred to the next Civic Licensing Committee. Okay, thank you. We will turn now to item 8, which is the new application for house in multiple occupation licence. And I believe that we have Gordon Matthews attending remotely.
Hi, Gordon McIntosh, yeah.
Apologies for that. Gordon McIntosh, I'd invite you to address the committee now, please.
Okay, so we've held a HMO licence on this, or there was an HMO licence on this property for a number of years, maybe 12, 16 years.
I'm sorry, Gordon, to cut in here. Can I ask you to speak up, please, because we're getting it quite thinly through the sound in the chamber here.
Okay, is that any better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, there's been a HMO licence on this property for a number of years. The property changed hands along with the hotel in September of last year, so this is a new application for the same premises. The fire brigade and the building control people came out and inspected, and all the work that was requested to be carried out has been carried out. So that's where we are just now.
Okay, thank you very much. I can see in the report that it was expected the building standards would carry out a further inspection, so I'd like to invite Lee Tom, please, at this point.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Yeah, absolutely. You'll see that there were some minor points outstanding from that inspection. I am not aware of being advised that any of that work until now has been completed. I just wondered if the applicant could advise on who they told, maybe.
I sent about a week or 10 days ago, I sent a confirmation to Chris Ferrier and copied in Lynn. Sorry, let me just see if I get her name from the Scottish Fire Department. Sorry, I don't have her email address. It was a report carried out by Deborah Feeney. I then sent it in that first correspondence. I said that the fire detector, which had to be moved in the kitchen, was due to be done, but all items had been carried out. I then emailed yesterday again to Chris Ferrier and copied in the Scottish Fire Department that detector had now been relocated in the kitchen, so all items had been done. I did get an email back saying that Chris was, I think, on annual leave the first time, and there was an email address. I was asked to BSP or something, BP something, but it kept bouncing back saying that it was the wrong email address.
Lee, would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sorry, Chris has been on holiday for 2 weeks now. The BS processing email is functioning. If I send it direct to myself or anything, I can get in touch with you after this. Okay, but just for the board, we would require to re-inspect before being satisfied everything's okay.
Okay, thank you for that, Lee. At this point, I will invite any questions from members. Councillor Clark.
Yes, thanks, Vice Convener. And as usual, I'll chance my arm to a certain degree. Just really want to know that given our building standards officer's reassurance there, for me anyway, would we be able to go ahead and grant, considering what she's just said?
Thank you, Councillor Clark. This is different from the previous item. We're operating under different legislation, and you'll see that the recommendations are different on this one. And so, yes, I think what would be or could be applicable here would be to grant the application subject to an additional condition that the relevant information is provided to building standards and an appropriate inspection is undertaken and all matters have been resolved, a confirmation that all matters have been resolved. As I say, this is different legislation.
Just what he said, thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Clark. If there are any further questions or comments from members, please raise your hand now. Otherwise, I will move to motions, which I believe one has been moved. Councillor Clark, can I invite you to officially move that motion, please?
Considering what my legal colleague just said, and I'm not going to attempt to say it again, because it's already on record, and I would move to just exactly what he has said, which I understood fully and hoped you would say that. So I would seek a seconder, Vice Convener.
Well, Councillor Gregg, I believe, has intimated he is willing to second that. Okay, so just to reiterate, that would be to grant subject to the relevant information being submitted to building standards and then therefore a re-inspection being carried out. Do we have any amendments to that motion? I see none. Are we therefore unanimous? Thank you very much. The application has therefore been granted subject to that. We will now move on to item 9, which is the new application Street Trader Fixed Pitch. And I believe that the applicant, Derek Murdoch, is here.
No, he's on
online.
Teams. He's
Online.
on Teams. Yeah.
Thank you very much, as well as Pauline Matthews. So I'd like to invite you then both to address the committee, please. Thank you.
Hi there, it's Derek here. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm here assisting Derek because he's not au fait with Teams. It's not something that he uses on a daily basis, but I do. So, yeah, we're here together just to go over whatever questions you have.
Okay, thank you. Do you wish to say anything substantive to the committee on your application before we turn to?
Yeah, well, we went for a seaside sauna in Ely several months ago. And then, as you might be aware or not aware, that there are several seaside saunas now popping up all over the country. There's one just outside St Andrews. There is one in Ely. There is one in Stonehaven. There's one in Aberdeen. And living in Montefieth, we're like, why is there not one you know, up and down the Angus coast? There's obviously health and well-being benefits to them. So we put an application in for, or Derek put an application in for a fixed pitch on the Pacific site in Montefieth, which is quite near the Tayview caravan park. So yeah, that's basically the background to it. So, you know, that's it really. You know, they're popping up all over the place, and I think it would be good for the health and well-being. We think it would be good for the health and well-being of Angus citizens if there was a seaside sauna there.
Thank you very much for that. I can see that Environmental Health may have a contribution that they wish to make just before I turn to members. So Environmental Health, can I invite you back in here, please?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just get the right paper. Apologies. Yeah, just nothing further than what's contained in the report, in that as the structure isn't currently in possession, we've been unable to comment on its suitability for its intended use.
Can I come in?
Yes, I was just about to invite you back on that one. Do you want to address that?
Yes, the sauna is due to be delivered in approximately 3 to 4 weeks. It was ordered a couple of weeks, and then it can be fully inspected.
Louise, do you want to come in there?
Yeah, sure. We'll inspect as soon as it's available for inspection and report back to committee as required.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. I'll now invite members if any members have questions at this point. I see none. Do members have any comments they wish to make at this point? Councillor Nicholl.
Thank you very much, Vice Convener. I think it's a good enough project and should go ahead. If Environmental Health and everyone find that it's not suitable, well, we'll put the brakes on it then. But I think they'll be good folk and they'll make a great success of it. So I would allow this to go forward. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Nicholl. I can see Councillor Braze also has his hand up. Councillor Braze.
Well, the applicant asked the question, why can't we have one of these on the Angus coastline? I'd be saying, well, why can't we have several of these up and down the Angus coastline? Absolutely fantastic idea. And I would have thought much needed and welcomed by the people of Angus. But we have this issue of Environmental Health haven't even seen the thing, and so as long as we can sort that out, I would have hoped we could do this under delegation, but what do officers think of that?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, again, I'm different from the two items ago. We're not dealing with statutory standard model conditions here. They are our own, and we could add in an additional condition that it is not operated until such time as a suitable or a successful inspection has been carried out by ECP.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll now turn to the applicant. Does the applicant wish to sum up at this point?
Yeah, I have my hand up there. Thank you very much. Yes, obviously, the model that we have chosen for the sauna is very similar to other models that have obviously been approved and are now up and running. And the councillor that made the comment about why don't we have them up and down the Angus coast? Well, watch this space. Carnoustie is next, hopefully.
Thank you for that. At this point, I will now ask members for motions. Can we? Councillor Nicholl.
Thank you, Vice Convener. My motion is to grant permission and subject to the environmental health having a look at it, but it should have no problems. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Braze.
Yes, I'd be delighted to second that, and also just comment how glad I am to see people who are prepared to have a go at something. There's no guarantees of success with this venture, but we certainly shouldn't be here to hinder you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Braze. I'm going to make a slight amendment just to clarify the wording, if that's all right. So that would be to grant the application subject to a successful inspection by environmental health. Is that acceptable to Councillors Nicholl and Braze? Yes, I see that is the case. Okay, are there any amendments to that? I see none. Can we therefore approve that motion unanimously? Thank you very much. Your application is hereby granted under those conditions. Thank you.
Very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Now, members will be aware that I asked for permission to restructure the agenda to move item number 6 to behind item number 9. We are now at that point. Can I just ask if we have Mr. Stephen Forsyth in the room? We do. Thank you very much. I'll now invite you both up to the stand, please. Item number 6, new short-term lets application, 34 Baltic Street, Montrose. And I'll ask you, please, to address the committee, and if you could use your microphone, please, because we have members online. Thank you. Can I just advise before we begin that we're very glad to have Mr. Forsyth here, but we do have the submission that you pre-circulated for us, and we have also had the opportunity to read through it, so I would encourage you, please, to be succinct. Thank you.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. First of all, thank you for your indulgence in the slight move this morning. I was held up up the road in Forfar Court, so that is very much appreciated. My instructions are to move the application for the short-term let in respect of the property. As the committee will be aware, there was an objection to the application. I don't know if the objector is present. On that basis, I would simply move the application. I have lodged some productions in order to address the issues raised. Firstly, the committee will note that there does seem to be a dispute about whether the notice had been displayed for the correct amount of time. The objector clears of the view that it was not, and she has produced a photograph with a proposed date on it. My submission in relation to that is that photograph of its own is not evidence that's only evidence that photo was there on that date. It's not evidence clear that it was not there beforehand. in my view, there is no evidence that it wasn't there beforehand. I would rely on or certainly my client's position is that it was, and I have lodged an affidavit by the applicant's fiancée as almost a corroborative statement. Essentially, the position is that they received the email from the council on the 2nd of July. It was printed that day, and my client placed it on the property on that date. And there is an explanation within the affidavit, but in the interest of brevity, I won't repeat that. So our position is that the requirements in respect of that have been fully complied with. The second element is in relation to perhaps unsavoury or unneighbourly conduct. My client's position in relation to that is he has, well, I would say no recollection. It's not even as far as that. It goes further than that. It's actually just he has not spoken to this lady directly. He can confirm that. So if there was anything, that it certainly was not him. But he has clarified matters with the building company that he uses, and that's SGH. And within the productions, there is a letter from the director confirming that all their employees are denying any communication with this particular person, and certainly deny that there was any unneighbourly or sort of misogynistic language towards any ladies, which is of course quite a serious allegation. My client's position is that he instructs his firm, perhaps a very brief part about his background. So my client's been a landlord for about 8 to 9 years. He has a smallish buy-to-let portfolio, which is hoping to grow. He has 6 buy-to-lets, all compliant and have long-term tenants in them. They've all been in for around 8 to 9 years. He's now got 3 units at Baltic Street and 2 in Swan Street in Brecon. All the licences have been submitted and are they may be before the committee in due course, but all regulations have been complied with. He's never had any issues or complaints or been ever called before the committee before. Takes all rules and regulations very seriously. He is actually involved in some property flips in which he perhaps a consultant with, I think, might be a little bit too far, but he certainly helps and advises potential investors and actually keeps them right in terms of the rules and regulations in terms of planning and building warrants. So he is fully aware of the obligations upon him and does take that extremely seriously. He does have a full team of lawyers, architects and surveyors to keep him right in terms of all aspects of compliance. The reason he's used this particular company for 5 years because they do come particularly highly regarded, and he's never had any issues with them at all in terms of workmanship, cleanliness, or attitude to any clients or members of the public. So that aspect of it is also denied. We don't quite know what's happened there, but certainly from my client's perspective and the company's perspective, it's denied that there's been any such language like that. The third matter, again, yes, is the allegation of someone bragging about putting in. The Airbnb are putting in a wind farm contract. That is also denied. We simply don't know. My client's never spoke to the lady, so it clearly couldn't have been him. We're not quite sure where that's come from, but in any event, that is denied. And further within the productions, I have lodged some evidence. The property is not live. I have some sort of printouts from Booking.com, Airbnb, and Smoobu, which you can see this property is not live or unlisted. And the reason for that, and again, this goes back to the affidavit of Ms Laverty, who is responsible for Booking, is that they simply would not do that because they are fully aware that a licence has to be in place before they would even consider advertising things anyway, because they take the rules extremely seriously. So she's able to confirm that herself. And I did also, just for completeness, obtain there's another letter at production 3, a letter from Ms Kelly Slater, who is essentially does the cleaning services. She speaks to the friendly and approachable nature of the builders, just to go back to that point very briefly. But also she has access to the bookings as well, and she's also able to confirm that there is no live advertisements or bookings. There is no contract for wind farms or contractors or anything like that in place. Dare say my client would be quite happy if that was to follow, perhaps in due course, but certainly as of right now, that is certainly not the case. So for those reasons, it's submitted that my client has been fully compliant with all the rules and regulations, particularly in relation to the notice. These allegations the client takes extremely seriously, but in any event they are denied. And on that basis, I would move that the application be granted unless I can be of any further assistance.
Thank you for that. I will draw members' attention to the objection which is in the papers. I don't believe we have the objector with us. No? Okay. So members have had the opportunity to read that. Can I ask if any members have any questions of the applicant? Councillor Gregg.
Thank you, Vice President. I have a question for legal, if that's okay.
More than happy to.
Thank you. In the appendix on page 17, appendix 1, it says that the application is for home letting, i.e. using all or part of the applicant's home for short-term lets whilst the applicant is absent. So does that mean that the applicant, this needs to be their primary or main residence in order for this to be applicable?
That would be the usual definition for home letting, that it's still used by the applicant as the primary address rather than secondary letting, which would be a separate property that the applicant doesn't reside in.
In that case, I have a question for the applicant. Is this your primary or main residence?
No, it is not.
Can I therefore clarify with the agent that you might wish to amend your application to reflect that?
Yes, I apologise. I wasn't aware of that. Yes, I would seek to make that amendment on the basis it's not the primary home, it would be a secondary let. Apologies if that wasn't spotted in advance.
Any members have any further questions they wish to ask? I see none. Do members have any comments they wish to make? I also see none. So I will hand back over to the applicant to sum up, and then I think I will invite motions.
In the absence of any further questions or any objections, I think I'll just be repeating. So I rely on earlier submissions, and I'd invite the committee to grant the application as amended.
Thank you. And I will now turn to motions. Can I ask members if they have any? Councillor Clark.
I'd be happy to move the granting of this application. as amended. Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have any seconders for that? Councillor Gregg?
Yeah, I'm happy to second that as amended.
Have we any amendments to that motion? I see none. Therefore, are we happy to grant that unanimously? Yes, thank you. So your application is granted as amended. Thank you. I will now ask the live stream to be paused as I notified earlier. We will now sit in private for this one, so I'll ask members of the public and press please to leave the chamber. Thank you.
Hi, John, can you please...